See, before going to start learning the concepts of Spring and Spring Boot in Java, few things from core Java you should be good at. The concepts called learn before Spring concept. Here in these sessions, we should be good at all core Java concepts. So many core Java concepts are there. I'll explain all these classes one by one, concepts one by one by one. Because you are already good at all these things, just a brush up. The first concept you should understand, so that is about the POJO class. So the reason is what? In Spring and Spring Boot, the POJO class, we can call it as a bean class. In MVC, the POJO class, we can call it as a model class with a slight changes in rules. So that's why, first of all, you should be good at the POJO class. So one point is what? So why they introduced the concept of POJO class? We already know. What is the purpose of developing application? Object-oriented application means just defining objects and establish connection among them. Establish connection among them. What is the purpose of object-oriented programming? We already discussed in the basics of object orientation concept, defining objects. For example, here it is, I am taking the class of faculty and number of students listening the class. Number of students listening the class. I am using my laptop, one student using mobile and one student using laptop. According to object-oriented programming, here it is a trainer is one object. This laptop is one object. Mobile is one object. The student is one object. See here, after defining the objects, we just establish the communication between the objects. This is called object-oriented programming. So that we know already. The next one, why they introduced the concept of POJO. POJO is also called encapsulation concept. What is the purpose of encapsulation? Protecting objects information in communication is nothing but, of course, they are communicating. We define objects now. We define objects. They are communicating. For example, two people communicating here. Two people communicating here. Right? We need to protect the information of these objects in communication. Sir, how can we protect? Think normally. Suppose when you are walking on the road, n number of people appear, n number of people, right? So all these people are called public. Public means what? Visible to others. Why? Because ready to participate in communication. Ready to participate in communication. Every class should be a public class. Every class should be public class. We are public. We are visible to everyone. See, for example, a person who is visible on the road to you directly. Can you tell the name of that person? Impossible. Because the data is always private. Private data. Right? So simply no one can tell the name of another person without communication. Data is always private. This is the first rule of POJO. Class is public. This is the second rule of POJO. Variables are private. So then how can we communicate? How can we transfer information from one object to another object? Means with the concept of communication. If you want to send the information, set. If you want to receive the information, get. So for every variable, we need to specify setters and getter method to access the information. That is. So these things we need to implement in POJO. So let me show you the programming part. In Eclipse, I'm just creating a simple Java project because as we are learning the basic concepts of core Java project I'm creating, project name I'm giving learn before spring. Project name is learn before spring I have given. In this one, I'm just creating one class. One class I'm creating. The class name, I'm not giving any package name. Just a class name I'm giving is employee class. Employee. Here it is. Employee, make it finish. Employee class. In this employee class is public so that everyone can access. Everyone can access. I'm defining the variables. We know that private variables, private int, employee ID, private string employee name, private double employee salary. Suppose is the second rule, variables must be private. So from other classes, they cannot access directly. Then how they can access means what? Using setters and getters. Right? Instead of writing setters and getters manually, you know that just right click, go to the source, generate setters and getters methods, select all option is there, just generate. Then for all these three fields, setters and getters are generated. Setters and getters are generated. That is set ID, get ID, set name, get name, set salary, get salary. Right? How can we access all these things? Simple. We are taking one more class in the same package. So of course, default package we have taken. Just class name I'm taking main, which contains the main method. From here, we can access. Just create the object of that employee. E equals to new employee. Empty object will be created. If you want to set the data, set ID. Suppose I'm giving that one. E dot set name. E dot set salary. E dot set salary. Suppose I'm taking like this. Then if you want to access directly, is it possible means what? No. Directly E dot ID, impossible. You will get the error message here. See, the field employee dot ID is not visible. Reason is it's a private. So that's why if you want to access the information using getter method, get ID, just employee ID is. Employee ID is in the same way. Employee name is like this. One by one, we are accessing. If you want to send the information, send the information, right? That is using setter methods. If you want to get the information using that getter method, look at this. that information it is showing here. This is the first concept we should learn before starting this Spring concept. Most of the people can able to write the POJO class easily. Still, if you feel difficult, please practice first. Remember that. Okay? Just one sec. Give me one sec. Okay? Now, the next one we need to understand after the concept of POJO. The next concept is what? Just overriding the concepts. So, what is overriding? Before that, one simple example. Overriding means what? The method which is already present in the parent class, the same method we are writing in the child class. Already present in a parent class that we are defining in the child class. Sir, why? Why overriding is important means what? Our next discussion is a toString method, a very important method we need to learn. See, toString method, it belongs to object class in Java. Object class. As we know already, what is object class? It is the superclass of all classes in Java. For all classes, parent class is an object class. In this class, toString method is present. Okay. So what toString method will do exactly? It's very simple. It's very simple. Let me show you with one example. Suppose here, I'm writing a simple one, employee only. I'm not writing anything here. I'm not writing anything here, just employee. Just employee. So I'm creating the object of this employee. This is address, no? Just E. You can take E, enough. When you are printing that system.out.println, just printing E. Only E you are printing. What is happening here? It will invoke the toString method on this object. Simply to say, when you are creating object of employee class, what will happen? An object will be created. In case instance variables are there, all instance variables get memory, which is not required as of now. Here it is this is some address. Here object is created at some memory location. When you print this E, what it will do, it will call the toString method. See what toString method will do exactly. What it will return, class name, which class object it is, employee, at the rate, that address 204678, it will return this string. But of course, that integer also will be converted into hexadecimal value. This one will display as a hexadecimal value. That is, so totally we can call it as hexa string. Address will return in a hexa string format. So here it is, a return type is a string type. Return type is string. This string will return. This is what toString method will return automatically. See, when you run this code, you will get the output like this. Class name is employee at the rate 379619 AA. That is what conversion into hexadecimal. Sir, then what is the purpose of overriding the toString method in employee class? Suppose if you are overriding the toString method, I'll use the annotation. I'll explain about the annotations followed by this one. Override, at the rate override. Okay, toString method Suppose returning hello all, just a message instead of address. I'm returning. It's a public method. Return type is a string. Imagine if you override the toString method. Whenever you are printing the address, what will happen? It always gives the priority to overridden method. We already know the concept of inheritance. The concept of inheritance in class A, there is M method. There is M method. This is A class M method. This is A class M method. In a class B, which is extending from A, here also, if you override M method, this is B class M method. This is B class M method. If you create object for B class, B object is equal to new B, and when you call M, which one access? It always looking for the child only. Is always looking for the child. B class M method only executes. In case B class M method is not there, then it will look into that A class M. It's looking for A class M. So that's why in the same way, as we are overriding the toString method, it gives the priority to this overridden method only. In case if you don't override this method, then it gives priority to the object class toString. So now here it is, when you run this code, instead of getting that output, expected output, you are getting hello all. What you have written from the toString method, the same thing written here simply. Hope you understood. Okay. Sir, exactly where we use this toString method, tell me. See, in the right, in the POJO class, what we have discussed a POJO class, private variables. Next one is the setters and getters, and few more things are there. Let me explain all one by one. You will get more clarity on this. More clarity on this. What are this? I'm defining here one constructor, which is default constructor. Default constructor means what? It should be empty. And we are defining one more constructor also, that is parameterized constructor. You know that parameterized constructor means what? Is taking the parameters to set the values, ID, name, and salary. Inside that, how to assign, you know that this dot ID, this dot name, this dot salary, this dot salary. One zero arguments constructor and one parameterized constructor. Okay, now getters and setters we define, and at last we are overriding the toString method. What is the exact purpose of toString method? Now you can understand. toString, toString, the return type is a string. What it will return means what? The details of object. Details means what? All the values of object you will get. Return ID, simply to write, or clearly this dot ID, comma separator, this dot name, comma separator, this dot salary. Sir, why? What is the purpose of doing this one? What is the purpose of doing this one? Suppose imagine if it is not there. Let me put it in comments. Put it in comments. Now, if you want to create the object, in two ways you can create the object. Using zero arguments constructor or using parameterized constructor. Suppose If you are creating object using parameterized constructor, new employee, employee ID, employee name, employee salary we are printing. Employee ID, employee name, employee salary. All these three will go and store into these parameters so that object is created with the specified values. Good. Now, if I want to display all values, what I should do? System.out.println even is object, but it will not print the details. You know that. It will print only the address. It will print only address. Look at this. It's printing the address only. Sir, if I want to get the details, you need to call like this. Get ID, comma, get name, even dot get name, comma, even dot get salary. Will you access every time like this? No. Of course, you can access like this. You can access like this, you will get the output. But what is the advantage of overriding methods every time I don't want to write, sir? When I use even, it has to give, then override the toString method, override the toString method, and just return all the details of object from the toString method whenever we display the address. Now see, we are just displaying the address only, but you will get the same output, the object details. Remember the point. Sir, I just want to create object, empty object. E2 is equal to new employee. Then we need to set one by one not two. E2 dot set name is a Annie. E2 dot set salary. Set salary. Suppose is a 45,000. This is the way. So now I just want to display the details. System.out.println E2 toString method it will call. ToString method. So when you run, look at the output. Both are coming. Both are coming. That is a very, very important point, right? A very important question they will ask when you will go with the default constructor, when you will go with the parameterized constructor, when you will go with the getter methods, when you will go with the setter methods, when you will go with the toString method. Default constructor means what? Create object without any information, initial data. I don't want to initialize. Then go with the default constructor. Okay, empty object is ready. Now I just want to set values. Set individual values. Individual values like this. You can set one by one. To change the values or to set the values one by one, setter methods. Sir, I want to print all at once. Display complete details of object at a time. At a time, I want to display the details of object. Simply toString method we are using. No, sir. I want to display one by one. Sir, only name is enough for me. Then you must call even dot get name. Get name. I just want to display a salary of a second one. E2 salary. E2 salary. Just E2 dot get salary. E2 dot get salary. That is. So when you run the code, individual you can access, Here it is a only E1 name you can access, only E2 salary, complete details you can access. Very important one, because everything given for particular reason, right? Get individual values, individual values. So why you are defining all these things in a POJO class or Bean class? If anyone asks you the question, you should give the proper answers when you should go with the default constructor. Empty object without any initial values to instance variables. Okay. When you go with the parameterized constructor, create object with the initial values, instant initial values. At the time of object creation only, we need to specify like this. Okay. These type of things we need to understand. The toString method, right, as well as a POJO class completely.